2 Kings 6. Some of the prophets said to Elisha, "Look, the place where we meet with you is too cramped for us. Let's go to the Jordan. Each of us will get a log from there, and we will build a meeting place for ourselves there." He said, "Go." One of them said, "Please come along with your servant." He replied, "All right, I'll come." So he went with them. When they arrived at the Jordan, they started cutting down trees. As one of them was felling a tree, the axe head dropped into the water. He shouted, "No, my master, it was borrowed." The prophet asked, "Where did it drop?" When he showed him the spot, Elisha cut off a branch, threw it to the spot, and the axe head floated. He said, "Lift it out." So he reached out his hand and grabbed it. Okay, this is one of those weird stories. Like, why is this included at all? Why, and how does this happen? So the prophets, and there's schools of prophets that we see in the book of the books of Kings, First and Second Kings, with Elisha and Elijah. And there's schools of prophets, apparently some training that went into it on how do you listen to God, maybe some stuff along those lines. But also remember, one of the things that we've seen at times throughout Samuel and Kings is that there is singing. We had that already here in 2 Kings, of singing among the prophets. So anyway, the level of them is getting too big. There's too many. They need a new house. So let's go down to the Jordan. And they invite Elisha along. They're like, "Hey, should we go? And we could do this." And he's like, "Yeah, go for it." And he's like, "Well, you come along." He's like, "All right, I'll come along." And then while they're there, somebody's chopping down a tree, and the axe head flies off. It goes in the water. And he's like, "No, it's borrowed." I mean, what a weird, I borrowed that axe. I got to replace it. So how do we get the axe? Wouldn't parting the river make more sense? Anybody? We've already had that he parted the water. We had Elisha part the water, and then we had Elijah part the water. Why not part the water so you can find the axe head? That would be where I would go. Oh, no. Let's throw a log, a stick. Let's throw wood, at the spot where it is, because the axe head will automatically be attracted to the axe handle. It'll float up to meet the axe handle because that's its home. It belongs to it. This is such a weird, it's just a weird story. An axe head is floating, and then he has to say, "Hey, lift your hand out and grab it." I didn't know that. He's probably so stunned that the axe head is floating, he can't even think for himself. Yeah, he does need to be told to do that. All right, weird story. No idea why it's in the Bible, other than it's a weird story, and somebody wanted to make sure we all knew the weird thing that happened. Okay, moving on. Now the king of Syria was at war with Israel. He consulted his advisors, who said, "Invade at such and such a place." But the prophet sent his message to the king of Israel. "Make sure you don't pass through this place, because Syria is invading there." So the king of Israel sent a message to the place the prophet had pointed out, warning it to be on guard. This happened on several occasions. This made the king of Syria upset. So he summoned his advisors and said to them, "One of us must be helping the king of Israel." One of his advisors said, "No, my master, O king. The prophet Elisha, who lives in Israel, keeps telling the king of Israel the things you say in your bedroom." The king ordered, "Go find out where he is, so I can send some men to capture him." The king was told, "He is in Dothan." So he sent horses and chariots there along with a good-sized army. They arrived during the night and surrounded the city. All right, so Dothan. Two wells. Dothan means two wells. So he's in two wells. Okay. The prophet's attendant got up early in the morning, When he went outside, there was an army surrounding the city, along with horses and chariots. He said to Elisha, "Oh no, my master, what will we do?" He replied, "Don't be afraid, for our side outnumbers them." Then Elisha prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes so he can see." The Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw that the hill was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. As the army approached him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, "Strike these people with blindness." The Lord struck them with blindness as Elisha requested. Then Elisha said to them, "This is not the right road or city. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you're looking for." He led them to Samaria. Okay, so we have the Elisha is telling the king of Israel all the plans that the king of Assyria is planning, and they keep coming at him. They keep coming, and then finally the king is like, "We got to stop this guy. We got to stop this side. We'll send the army outside. We'll have to stop him from doing this." We got the army, and his servant's like, "We're surrounded, Elisha. What are we gonna do?" And Elisha prays. So apparently Elisha has this ability, which it appears a couple of the prophets do this. Now, I don't know if it's a continuous ability or if it is periodic ability, but apparently Elisha has the ability to see the spiritual realm. Elisha has the ability to see the spiritual realm. Now, maybe with the double portion he had of Elijah, that's the thing that he gets to do. Don't know for sure, but he is able to see into the spiritual realm, and he can see the spiritual forces, the horses and chariots of fire. The horses and chariots are all surrounding, like, hey, we're not outnumbered. Our side's better than their side. But here's the weird thing. He doesn't just pray for God to wipe them out. Oh, no. He prays for them to all be blind. And then he goes to them and tells them they're not on the right road, to follow me, and I'll lead you to the man you're looking for. Well, okay, if he is the man they're looking for and he's leading them, I guess this is not really a lie, because he will lead them to the man he's looking for, because he is the man. And he led them to Samaria. So, weird situation, and also, deceptive, that's for sure. When they entered Samaria, Elisha said, "O Lord, open their eyes so they can see." The Lord opened their eyes, and they saw that they were in the middle of Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elisha, "Should I strike them down, my master?" So the king asked Elisha this. He's calling Elisha his master. Let me see if on the footnote has anything. My father. Okay, that's different than my master. I'm sorry, I think. But it is definitely respect. He replied, "Do not strike them down. You did not capture them with a sword or bow. So what gives you the right to strike them down? Give them some food and water so they can eat and drink and go back to their master." So, what? Should I strike them down? At least the king asked, and Elisha's like, "No, you're going to feed them, give them water, and send them back home. Like, we're not killing them. You didn't capture them. They're going back home." So he threw a big banquet for them, and they ate and drank. Then he sent them back to their master. After that, no Syrian raiding parties invaded land. So when Jesus says, love your enemies, and if they are thirsty, if they are hungry, give them something to eat. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. That is exactly what Elisha does. He has enemies who have come against him. He leads them to the king, who feeds them, who gives them something to drink, and they go back home, and then they no longer invade. Seems like a good plan. Later, King Ben-Hadad of Syria assembled his entire army and attacked and besieged Samaria. Samaria's food supply ran out. They laid siege to it so long that a donkey's head was selling for 80 shekels of silver, and a quarter of a cob of dove's droppings for 5 shekels of silver. So, on the heels of having a story of we fed our enemies and sent them home, we now have Syria has assembled their army against us. So we don't have raiding parties that are just coming. We have a full-on siege that's happening, and it is so severe a donkey's head, which is unclean. Unclean. You don't eat donkeys. People don't eat donkeys anyway, even if they're not clean. So the donkey head, like it's not even the valuable part of the donkey, is selling for 80 shekels of silver. What good is silver if you don't have something to eat? And then a quarter of a cob of dove's droppings. You want some dove poo? I don't know why you're eating dove poo. Are they eating it? Unless they're using it for fuel, it would seem to me that's the implication there, because they got the head of the donkey. So I don't know. I mean, that's what it seems like. Okay. There's a suggestion that dove's dung was a popular name for the inedible husks of a seed. Okay. So maybe it's a euphemism for something and not actually what it is. Okay, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't sound appetizing, and that's part of the point. While the king of Israel was passing by on the city wall, a woman shouted to him, "Help us, my master, O king." He replied, "No, let the Lord help you. How can I help you? The threshing floor and the winepress are empty." Then the king asked her, "What's your problem?" She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Hand over your son. We'll eat him today, and then eat my son tomorrow.' So we boiled my son and ate him. Then I said to her the next day, 'Hand over your son, and we'll eat him.' But she hid her son." So this is one of those horrid stories. Two women starving to death. They agree to eat one of the kids. Tomorrow, we'll eat one of the other kids. I don't know that this has to be a literal tomorrow, but whatever that next day is that we're going to eat. And she's like, "Nah, I ain't doing that." When the king heard that the woman said, he tore his clothes. Yeah, this is shocking. This is appalling. This is sad. He's tearing his clothes. As he was passing by on the wall, the people could see he was wearing sackcloth under his clothes. Then he said, "May God judge me severely if Elisha, son of Shaphat, still has his head by the end of the day." So he's ripping his clothes because of the circumstance they're in. He's putting all the blame on Elijah, and he wants God to judge him if I don't have his head on a spit by the end of the day. I need to have him beheaded. That's what needs to happen. Now Elisha was sitting in his house with the community leaders. The king sent a message on ahead, but before he arrived, Elisha said to the leaders, "Do you realize this assassin intends to cut off my head? Look, when the messenger arrives, shut the door and lean against it. His master will certainly be right behind him." He was still talking to them when the messenger approached and said, "Look, the Lord is responsible for this disaster. Why should I continue to wait for the Lord to help?" So we have the end of the story. So now the king is going to make it happen. He is sending an assassin and Elisha is hanging out with the leaders of the town. And he's like, "Hey, the assassin's coming to get me." And boom, the assassin shows up. "Look, the Lord is responsible for the disaster. Why should I continue to wait for the Lord to help?" So if the Lord's responsible for the disaster, why should I wait for him to fix it? He's the one that brought it. The disaster is from the Lord. Why should I continue to wait for the Lord to help? So, seems like a weird place to just end. Like we're clearly in the middle of a chapter, we're in the middle of a conversation, but let's have a chapter break. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's do that now.